I love this audience because they're so early to things. This is great. We already have a few people in the audience.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. Welcome, welcome.
And we're live on YouTube as well. Here we go. We'll get started in a few minutes, y'all. You guys are super early, which is fabulous, and I love that for us. But we'll give the rest of the audience a moment to join here, and we'll get started at the top of the hour.
Hey, Jackie. Hey, Gina. Hope you're doing
Happy
well.
hump day. Chile. Muy bien.
Hey, Candace.
Bonus points to anybody that can name this cover that's playing now. I don't know if anybody has any other 10 to 13-year-old girls that live at their house, but that's all I hear.
That seems about right.
Violin solo. Oh, clever.
Candace, you're not wrong, but who's the original?
Oh, that was Taylor Swift. You Belong to Me, covered by some orchestral something.
Love it. Still got 3 minutes, but we already got
Yeah.
good group in here. So,
Yes.
assistants are on time and
That's
on
it.
time is early. On time is
That's
early.
it. Yes.
If you're not 10 minutes early, you're late. My first boss beat me over the head with that one.
I've been trying to work with my wife and her family on that for 15 years now. They're always
Oh.
45 minutes late to everything, and you're like, I can't do that.
The key is you tell them 30 minutes earlier than you actually need them to be there.
That's
Right.
it. That is it.
Same. Oh, we've got somebody else in Alberta. That's awesome. What's up, Anita? I'm in Alberta as well.
Yes,
Okay,
Jackie.
coffee break.
Yep.
We're starting in 2
Military.
minutes. You need to heat up your coffee. Let's go, and we'll get started right away. Oh, we have a few Calgary people. That's fun. Hopefully you guys aren't getting a metric ton of snow right now, Calgary. I know I was seeing it yesterday on some of my friends' Facebook.
Hey, Christy in Seattle will be there in September.
Poland, that's awesome. Thank you for joining us so late in your day.
Yeah. Elizabeth, hello, welcome. Love it.
Still trickling in.
We're actually getting some sunshine in the Midwest and some
Yes.
warm weather. So my son had an outdoor baseball practice last night. So
Oh, nice.
spring is in the air. Spring
That's
is
it.
in the air. Hey, Cassie, Missouri. Nice. What part of Missouri? The good part or the not good part? Just kidding.
Is there a not good part?
I think Jeremy's starting fights here.
I grew up in Kansas City. I lived in St. Louis for 16 years, so I can talk
Yeah.
St. Louis versus Kansas City all day. Air Force
We've got
Base, nice,
Calgarians on this
Cassie.
call, and I'm not calling shots at their hockey team. So, I'm being super nice.
Yeah, Christy, in Seattle, I hope to do at least a small meetup, so be sure to stay tuned on my LinkedIn and email list. St. Louis is nutso weather. Mountain
Jackie, you
View,
got-
Missouri. That's kind of a
The
funny
weather.
name for a town in Missouri, Mountain View.
Mountain View.
Is there no mountains there?
There's hills. There's hills.
Yeah.
There's tall in southern Missouri. There's tall hills, but no
Bluffs.
mountains.
Oh, dang. We have somebody
I knew
joining
from
India.
India.
It must be super late for you, hey? That's so cool you joined.
All right. Well, we got a good crew now. We're excited. So thanks for joining us on this lovely Wednesday, March 12th.
Yeah, it's so great to see you guys. We'd love it if you wanted to pop your LinkedIns in the chat here. Let's connect with one another, grow our networks, because goodness knows that helps everybody. So I'm going to share myself and my co-host LinkedIns in the chat right now, but let's be friends. Let us know where you're from. Thank you so much for joining us. Ben, do you mind hopping forward 2 slides? I know that Jeremy had one question for the audience, and then we can get started.
Yep, no problem. The little
Thanks.
presenter thing's a bit delayed, but here we go. Okay.
It's okay.
All
We'd
right.
love to know as we get started, guys. For the lovely EAs who joined us today, how many calendars do you manage? Is it you plus one executive, you plus three executives? What does your kind of scope look like in terms of calendar management? Because we're going to be talking a bit about a few different things today. So it's nice to kind of know who our audience is at.
Everybody's got their hands full, it looks like.
Oh,
Managing
dang,
four,
5+.
five. Whew.
Jeepers, 6 for Christy. She's in the lead so far.
In the lead, though. That I don't know about that. Three, wow. Yeah, that is a lot.
I'm clicking on these LinkedIn profiles and I'm hoping you'll accept my request. I won't take it too personally if you don't, but
Yeah.
love it. Thanks for sharing.
Scheduling across 8 time zones, Gina. Wow.
No
That's
big, no big deal, right, Gina? No big
no
deal.
big deal. Yeah, now with daylight savings time, oh, no problem. Little wrench thrown in there. Not easy. Well, we're going to be talking about hopefully making it easy for you, Gina, but we'll see how far we can get. Awesome.
Yeah, this is crazy. Thanks for sharing.
Yes.
Love to hear all the different workloads that y'all are trying to handle.
All right, friends, let's get started. It is go time. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm so excited for this second EA webinar in a week. So I'm so glad you guys joined us. This is fabulous. My name is Becca. I'm based out of Western Canada. For those of you who didn't catch it, and I work with the marketing team here at YouCanBookMe. And I'm so excited to be moderating today with our two fabulous co-hosts. We've got Jeremy Burrows, who is the senior EA for Capacity. And many, many, many of you know him. He's fabulous. He's also got an awesome podcast for EAs. If you guys don't know it, you guys need to check it out. And then we've got Ben, who is our product manager at You Can Book Me. So for all things nerdy and technical and brilliant, Ben is our guy. And we have a fabulous team here. I've also got Bridget, Anna, and Kate from the You Can Book Me team in the comment section helping with moderation today in the chat. So we have a fabulous team here today. Let's get started. Here's a quick game plan for you. We're here to talk about, of course, scheduling for EAs. We're going to walk through some setup things and some things that'll make your life easier, some keys to success. We're going to talk about scalability for those of you who are working with bigger teams, as well as security, because we know that was a big question in our last webinar is how does that work? Is the security compliance where it needs to be for our company? We're going to go over that. Jeremy's got a teaser for something that we haven't actually announced to anybody yet. So really excited for that. And then finally, and this will be a larger portion, is Q&A. Our last webinar with our EA team, we had lots of great questions. So we're making sure to dedicate lots of time to that today. For Q&A, guys, the chat is popping off. There's so many of you sharing things, and I love that. If you drop questions for your hosts in the chat, they will get lost. Look at the bottom of your Zoom. There's a Q&A button. Please, if you have questions for the host that you would love to see answered, use the Q&A button, use the Q&A button, use the Q&A button. That way they go directly to your hosts and don't get lost in the shuffle. And with that, let's get started. Jeremy.
Yeah, thanks, Becca. Appreciate it. And hello again, everyone. We've got a nice crew here today on this lovely Wednesday morning for at least my time zone, evening for some of your time zones. But we're going to jump in, and I know that many of you shared that you manage multiple calendars and multiple executives. And I have been managing executives, fast-paced, always bringing new idea executives for over 19 plus years. And I love being an assistant. I don't have any plans to not be an assistant anytime soon. So I'm super excited to be speaking with my fellow EAs today. But actually, I'd love to hear in the chat how long you've been an assistant And then maybe even your specific title. I would love to see, like, I'm currently senior executive assistant. I know there's some executive business partners, there's administrative assistants, there's all sorts of random titles, it seems, at times. So would love to, would love to see what titles are represented in this group today. But really, I just wanted to encourage you all as you're thinking about your calendar, and I talked about this in the last webinar, just the idea of managing your executive's calendar before it manages you, and this idea of the ideal week. And we talked about that last week, and hopefully you've gotten that template and maybe watch the replay, and you're really kind of thinking about how to apply the ideal week to your executive's time and your calendar. But for those of you that haven't gotten to watch or haven't watched the replay or missed it, just the quick TLDR is that you're essentially setting up time blocks for your executive, and you're saying they're not going to do meetings at this time. They are going to do meetings at this time. They maybe aren't going to do meetings on these days, or they're going to do internal only meetings on these days, sales meetings and investor meetings and external meetings on these days, and so on. And so you just try to structure the calendar so that as these requests come in to your inbox, to your Teams, to your Slack, to your text message, to your voicemail, to your Voxer, whatever communication tool your executive uses, you have some sort of system and process to assimilate those requests and put them in your executive's calendar. That is how you manage your executive's calendar without it managing you. And so we also talked about managing your executive's energy, right? So nowadays there are so many tools out there with AI and automation and large language models and natural language processing and all the buzzwords, AI agents and all this stuff. There's so many tools that are actually very helpful at managing time, and it can automate that managing time need. And we're talking a little bit about one today, of course. But as an assistant, my job is to manage the most valuable asset of the organization, which is my executive's energy. And so I believe that we as assistants need to embrace time management tools and automation tools so that we can focus more of our time on managing our executives' energy. And some of you, that's 6 executives' energy. Some of you, that's 3. Some of you, that's 1, but they're really, 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 really complicated. So that's kind of the high level of what we're trying to do here. Is I'm trying to just encourage you all to embrace automation, embrace these time management tools, and save yourself time and energy so that you can then have more time to manage your executive's energy. So that's kind of what we're going to jump into today. But practically, I'm excited to have Ben here today to walk us through the tool that I use to automate scheduling, automate reminders, automate the whole reschedule back and forth, canceling and rescheduling meetings process with my executive. And so I'll talk a little bit more specifically after he shows a general overview. But again, this tool, YouCanBookMe by Capacity, has been a game changer for me. And it's allowed me to do what I talked about last week, which is basically do more of my executive's job, right? So I'm trying to help my executive reach their goals, and my CEO's goals are my goals. And so if I can use tools like YouCanBookMe to automate some of these manual, repetitive, painful processes, then I'm more free to take on more strategic projects for my CEO. So that's kind of a quick heads up of where we're at today, and why I'd love to hear from Ben and have him walk us through the YouCanBookMe tool. And hopefully several of you, will talk about it more later, but hopefully several of you signed up for the free trial as well, and you've already dug into it. But if not, this will be a great overview of how to set up YouCanBookMe specifically for us assistants.
Yes, absolutely. And as Jeremy mentioned, like, that energy is so important of just managing that schedule, and you can compound that by multiple executives that you have to keep track of. And it's just so much effort across everybody involved. So hopefully today you'll see of just how scheduling automation can kind of help out in the EA world, and even beyond that too. So I'm going to talk really high level on a lot of this stuff. So if you have any questions, add them to the Q&A. We have tons of resources that we'll send afterward, even this recording as well. But our whole kind of concept with YouCanBookMe is built off of this these booking pages. And when we talk about booking pages, those are unique links that are a collection of different settings, different customizations, different use cases. So as Jeremy was talking, and he'll allude to a little bit later, that with some of his executives, there's meetings just for investment conversations, just for internal team conversations, just for coffee chats. There's so many different use cases you can apply through one YouCanBookMe account to cover practically any scheduling scenario. But the biggest thing is that time blocking, is kind of controlling how that availability comes through. And we have a very powerful feature called Calendar Managed Availability that I'm going to show you all, that if you did tune in last week with the Perfect Week webinar, you can see how Jeremy blocks all of those things that his executive needs to be aware of and needs to kind of control his time and manage his time. I think you put it perfectly. Manage the calendar so it doesn't manage you, right? Be in control of the time so you're not kind of caught off guard. So this fairly powerful feature is broken down into three basic steps. The first one is you're setting a window of time in the YouCanBookMe settings to look at the calendar between a start time and an end time each day, customizing it as you need to. Then in step 2, we're creating a customized title for these events. And that's what YouCanBookMe is basically going to do, is go to the Google or Microsoft calendar that's connected and pull in those events that we have set up for them. So this allows you to go directly onto their calendar and pinpoint exactly when these executives need to be available for those specific calls based on that specific booking page, right? So it may seem very complicated, especially with a lot of you, with 10, 15, 25 plus years experience of doing it a certain way, and now coming into kind of a digital space to do it a bit more programmatically and kind of more automated. But once you get this set up and you have those blocks in place, I don't want to quote Ron Popeil and age myself here, but you could set it and forget it a lot of times, right? You could just add those blocks in, and then folks can just schedule those times. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to kind of put on my little hat and pretend to be my wife's executive assistant, but don't tell her though. Okay, so you should be seeing my account here. So inside of my YouCanBookMe account right now, I have 3 different booking pages set up. I have one just for my wife to get bookings just directly onto her calendar. One that I'll show you where her and I are showing when we're both available, so a mutual availability, and then one kind of set up for a team aspect. As I'll get to a little bit later in the webinar, that YouCanBookMe can work fine if you're managing one executive. It can also help you manage 6, 12, 15. Hopefully no one person is managing that many, but in that case, you can scale into the tool with that. So within this one booking page here for my wife's individual booking page, this is the link that I would send out to somebody that is just a one-on-one conversation, and maybe it's an existing client relationship, something like that. Everything is completely customizable, right? So we don't have time to go into every single feature here, but when we're looking at the calendar here, we're looking at multiple calendars that we're pulling in. So as an example, I have her work calendar connected, her personal calendar connected. You can have multiple other different calendars, her volunteer calendar, her Girl Scout Cookie Mom calendar, whatever it might be, can kind of pull in here to show when she can fully show up to these appointments and to these meetings, right? And then when we're talking about that availability piece, I'm going to show you that in real time here. So with calendar managed availability, remember step 1 was just to turn this feature on, set up our working hours, and then we're just going to say available for bookings. So then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy this phrase here. I'm going to go ahead and save the changes. Now, once I save these changes, on the live booking page, you're not going to see anything because I need to go over to Google directly, and I need to set up these events on her calendar here. So we see these events. I think I spelt it differently, but I'm just going to tweak this real quick. So I'm going to say available for bookings, and I have these events set up with the proper title marked as free on her calendar. So those are the 3 steps, right? We're setting the working hours, we're adding the title, we're marking it as free. Once I hit save and update all of these events, then on the booking page here, if I go to the live page, those are the only times they're going to come in as available for her to book, right? So our system is going out to her calendar and saying, do I see those events with that specific title? If so, then we're going to present that time. And the awesome thing here, as you don't have to log into another program. You don't have to log into YouCanBookMe to manage any of that. It's directly on the Google or Microsoft calendar that you're in every day. So as an example for tomorrow, maybe this morning one's not going to work. So we can just delete that or add a busy event over top of it. Now, if I go back to the live page, we're going to see, hopefully in real time, if I refresh it, this Friday block for the 14th should be gone, or maybe that was today. So or tomorrow. What day is it? Wednesday? Okay, great. I'm on schedule, right? So then we see Thursday completely gone because I moved that time or deleted that time. And similarly, we can add it back in. So let's say, okay, no, now we want to do an 11, and we'll just move this one. So now when I come back to the live page and refresh one more time, we'll see that calendar adjust instantly, right? So now we have no time on Friday. We see the time on 11. And again, it may seem like sorcery. It may seem like this magic that's happening, and it might be scary at first. But once you get involved and once you start managing it, as Jeremy's going to talk about, it's going to free you up for a lot of the admin work of trying to pinpoint multiple people, kind of get them coordinated, all of that stuff. Whereas you can just send out this link directly to somebody, right? So you could say, hey, here's the link. It's already kind of blocked in the time. And maybe it's an afternoon meeting because your executives after lunch, they're ready to go for the really hairy conversations, something like that. However you need to structure things, you can manage it directly on that calendar. So that's the one example here. And then again, all of the customization that you can modify, everything from the form field that we're asking to notifications that are sending out at all these different intervals that are completely customized for any use case, personalized to the booker, and then obviously making it look beautiful on brand, even for specific clients if you wanted to go that extra mile too, whatever you want, right? It's all way flexible and customizable to be whatever you need. So that's the one example real quick. And then similarly on this other page where it's her and I kind of showing when we're both available, getting this little warning because I'm on a free trial, so don't worry about that. But so this is when me and my wife are sharing time. So if we both need to be involved, if she needs maybe to have a tech conversation or something with the client, she can have this link that she's sending out or me on behalf of her sending out to get bookings for this specific type of meeting. And again, with the availability piece, we can customize this to look for a different event, right? So maybe this could be tech calls or something like that. So it's looking on the calendar for a completely different event. So we can pinpoint and kind of time block everything precisely to the booking link, right? So that's the power in all of this, that it's multiple booking pages, multiple use cases, kind of in harmony with the calendar, and it all works, right? Across time zones, across, different clients, different calendars, all kind of co-mingling and working together. A beautiful dance behind the scenes. So this last example I'm going to show you really quickly is about what if we have a team of people and we need to kind of show that. So here I have a booking page set up that's just kind of an intro call with her 3 team members, right? So this is a booking page that could work for, if it doesn't matter who somebody meets with or you want to give them an option to choose, we can pool multiple calendars together across your organization, across your team. This could also be used for internal meetings too. If somebody needed to get a quick call with somebody, and again, all time blocked with the calendar managed availability. So we can give the booker the option to choose. We can adjust allocation strategies to randomly assign it, do round robin. Tons of customization there. But this is a great way or a great option if you have a booking page where you can get multiple different executives and you want them all into one booking page. You could kind of set up something like this if you wanted to. But just to show you that it's not just a one-to-one, right? We can kind of pool availability together across multiple multiple different things there. So that was the fastest whistle stop tour I've ever done about the settings. Add your questions to the Q&A panel. But one final thing, that after you've kind of set everything up and structured your perfect week, have it all kind of humming together with the events and everything, our Chrome extension for free is available at your fingertips. So it's an easy way for you to have those links anywhere. So again, you don't have to log into YouCanBookMe and hunt for the links. You can click on the Chrome extension, grab the links, even as I'm showing as an example here, paste times into an email to kind of remove that friction for the prospects that your executive might want to meet with. And have instant access to those, the booking data, to the links, anywhere that you're traveling on the web, right? So it's all at your fingertips with the Chrome extension. Very, very powerful tool. So now with all of that, very fast, hopefully it didn't blow your mind, but like once you get in there and you're starting to work with it, I'm going to kick it back over to Jeremy, and he's going to talk about how he's kind of growing into YouCanBookMe and how he uses it every day.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. I'm seeing a double window on your screen, by the way. I don't know, what presenter window or something. There we go. So thanks, Ben, for doing that. So really quick, I wanted to talk about a couple of keys to success, and then I can get into, as we're answering questions, I can get into sharing my screen and showing you how I do it with my CEO. But I noticed a couple people in the chat, or you're asking really good questions, like what if I work with a leadership team that has different ideal calendars, that has different time zones, different preferences, but they take a lot of external meetings together. The beauty about this tool is, in the way I've set it up with my executive, is you can set up the ideal week or the custom availability for each executive, and then the tool will still cross-reference their calendars and find a time that is available even despite of that. However, one of the keys to success, I've got 3 keys to success to share, and I wanted to kind of talk through this. So the first key is to embrace automation. And for those of you who've read my book or followed me for any amount of time, you know that I'm all about assistants embracing automation instead of being afraid of automation. And so, but the reality is, some of us are held back from implementing automation tools like YouCanBookMe because we always think of these edge cases or these nuanced, difficult problems to solve that maybe happen, and my uneducated math would be 9% of the time, right? So 9% of the time, there's these really challenging, nuanced scheduling issues that happen, and what we often do, and what I've talked with assistants over and over again, a lot of the times they're resistant to set up a new tool or a new process. Why? Because 9% of the time it's not going to work. And so what I like to encourage you to do, and what I've done in my role, is I've said, you know what, instead of thinking about those 9% of the time that maybe this tool doesn't exactly fit because my leadership team is literally crazy sometimes, and they just do not have good systems in place, or maybe half of them do, but the other half don't, and it messes everything up, is I've thought about, okay, well, those are nuanced things. Those are maybe even job security for me as an assistant, right? There's always going to be those nuanced things that come up that they're going to need that human touch for. However, when I looked at the other 91% of meetings that I was managing for my executive, I realized that they were so repetitive, so systematic, but I was still doing those manually as well. And so I would encourage you all, as key number 1, is to embrace automation, even if that's only 91% of the time. And I would even argue that the ROI is so high to automate even 50% or 40% of the meetings that you schedule with your team or with your executives. Or let's say you have 6 executives, 3 of them are very repetitive, easily systematized. Those are the ones you should automate. And then those other 3, if they're just kind of all over the board and it's harder to get a structure in place, that's fine, but at least you've automated 50% of your executives' scheduling. Does that make sense? So that's my first key, is just embrace automation, even if it's incremental, right? You don't have to save the world with AI and automation, or save your world or your executive's world. but you can automate a portion of it, and that will actually scale up and be a really good ROI. The second key that I teased a little bit earlier and what I talked about last week is do more of your executive's job, right? And so I always try to think of not how can I be a better assistant, but how can I do more of my executive's job? And so in order for me to do more of my executive's job, I have to get rid of these manual, repetitive, painful processes so that I can take on more. And when I ask my executive, what's keeping you up at night? What are you worried about? What are you concerned about over the next 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months? I don't just say, okay, well, that's great. Good luck, right? I say, hey, well, you know what? You're concerned about this. I'm going to take this part of that project off your plate. Or I'm going to draft this proposal so that you don't have to start from a blank screen. So do more of your executive's job. And then the third key to success is it's kind of, I just thought of it this morning because a lot of people, again, they talk about AI agents and what am I going to do with large language models. What am I going to do with Google Gemini or DeepSeek or ChatGPT or Grok or whatever the AI is that's kind of everybody's talking about has the newest model that's faster and more efficient and all this. You know, there's obviously you want to learn all that stuff. You want to learn about all that stuff, but try to solve a problem. And the way I'll say it is calendar automation is the gateway drug of AI. So calendar automation is a manual, painful, repetitive process that you can start with and get some of that manual, repetitive, painful stuff off your plate. And then that will usher you into more free time to study more AI, different complicated AI that could help with other complex problems. So instead of just feeling overwhelmed about how am I going to add AI? Am I going to be able to keep up? Am I future-proofing myself? Try to solve a problem that is right in front of you, and then you can kind of get into it. So calendar automation is the gateway drug of AI. You can quote me on that. So that's my last key to success, and I'll talk more with your questions and dive in here in a minute. But Ben has a couple more things to note as we talk about multiple executives, as we talk about security is always an issue in enterprise situations, of course. So I'll let Ben talk a little bit about scaling and security real quick.
Awesome. Thank you, Jimmy. And those 3 keys to success, yeah, make sure, hopefully people are taking notes, but we'll send the recording out anyways, because that's really powerful stuff to where you can free up all of your time, right? All of that stuff so you can focus on doing the more strategic work. And I love that quote too, the gateway drug. That's great. What we're going to talk about is scaling and security. So the big thing about scaling things up, as I talked about, as you saw, you have the ability through one YouCanBookMe account to invite all of your colleagues, all of your executives that you might need to be scheduling on behalf of, invite them to join one account, right? So you could have one YouCanBookMe account, one centralized subscription, and then inviting everybody to integrate their calendars. And then you can get it set up on those booking pages and customize things as you saw before. And how our permission model works is at a really high level, we have an organization account. And then underneath that, we have administrators who can kind of log in and see. So if you have a colleague or, an EA team, you could all be administrators on one account. So you're spreading kind of the workload of building out these booking pages, managing these bookings, and kind of setting up the scheduling side of things. And then just below that, we have an editor. So that could be somebody maybe on your team, maybe that you line manage potentially, that needs to log into YouCanBookMe to make modifications to a booking page. Or it could be maybe even something time-bound for like an event coming up where you have somebody that's just coming in to help out for a few weeks to get a booking page set up for meetings at a conference that your executive's going to, right? And then just one step down is going to be the contributor, which is maybe the person who wants to be hands off, which sounds like might be a lot of the executives are just saying, hey, here's my calendar integration. I just want to know when I need to show up, where I need to be, right? And that's fine. They can get that set up too. By inviting them as a contributor, they are integrating their calendar directly. So then once it's connected, then you can kind of get everything sliced and diced and customized as you need to on all of those booking pages. And that's all done within one account there. And then we talk about kind of enterprise security. So we are very secure, and I know everybody says that, but we have the receipts, right? So we're SOC 2, Type 2 compliant, GDPR compliant, ISO 27001. All of that to say is that other people vouch that we are doing the things that we say we are doing about information security. All of our data is encrypted in transit and in rest. We don't need to go into all of the specifics, but if you or your team have any questions, then our compliance team is available to talk. We have some security information that we'll provide too. All of our information systems are accessed with two-factor authentication. So an extra layer of security there. And every quarter we do data security training, and it's a fun time. I know people probably don't think data security is fun, but we take it very seriously, and we're able to answer any questions that your team may have, because I know, starting a new software, there's a lot of maybe some red tape or some checks you need to cross, but we're here to answer any questions that you may have with that. And yeah, be sure to add them into the Q&A, and we can answer them there too. And now this is the best part, but Jeremy's gonna share some cool stuff.
Yeah, and real quick though, I wanted to, so how long has YouCanBookMe been around? 20 years?
Yeah, since 2011. So we've been
2011.
14 years now.
So just for the context, if you guys missed this before in prior announcements, but YouCanBookMe's been around for 14 years, it's been said. So they're not some new thing that's just trying to figure things, like they know what they're doing. And the recent news, why I'm excited to be partnering with them, is Capacity, my company that I have been with since day one, since 2017, acquired YouCanBookMe. And so we're integrating YouCanBookMe into the Capacity product. We are adding features. We are, speaking of, I'll share one here in a second. But we're really excited to be working with them. So when it comes to security and all that kind of stuff, they have been doing this for a while and know what they're doing. So just wanted to kind of give a little bit of context there. All right, so I am super excited to share a quick tease. And what I love is one of the unsolicited, I swear it was unsolicited questions in the Q&A that Stacy had, and I hope Stacy's still on the call. She said, does this tool have a poll feature? So no, it does not. However, yes, it soon will. This year we are launching a polls feature, and I love that Stacy brought that up. And I swear I did not tell Stacy to ask that question. So we are developing a polls feature, and this is, if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you guys use Doodle, post in the chat if you've used Doodle or similar meeting poll features. But essentially, the idea is that, sometimes you have 11 people that you're trying to coordinate. For me, it's board meetings. I've got 11 or 12 board members. I'm trying to coordinate all of their calendars. They don't have necessarily Capacity calendars that I can just look at real quick because they're external users. And I'm scheduling out for 2026. I need to send this poll out here pretty soon now that it's already halfway through March. But I set up this poll. I said, hey, please let me know when you're free. They can vote. They know the location. They can vote. And this is kind of how the voting looks at the bottom. The poll they'll submit their votes on which times work for them. And then the poll will automatically count and do the math for you and recommend. And you'll even be able to do things like edit participant responses. You'll be able to say, hey, certain participants are required versus optional. And many more features that we're building out. So just wanted to give you a tease on that because, again, Stacy brought it up. We were planning on talking about it briefly anyway, but that's coming soon in 2025. And so we're excited to add that to the awesome YouCanBookMe scheduling tools that we've already been showing you. And then if you keep going, I think, Yeah, so speaking of, I know you guys, we sent out a free trial in the email, and we talked about this in the last webinar. Before we dive into Q&A, and I can show a little bit of share my screen and everything, I just want to encourage you, just take a minute. You know that, we talked about the security already. We've talked about the use cases already. I've talked about and tried to encourage you all to, even if you can automate 50%, 60%, 70% of these meetings that you're doing, or even if you can automate some of your executives' calendars, but not all of them, it's still a high ROI on your investment. And so set up the free trial. You don't have to put a credit card in or anything. You can literally create an account, create a booking page, test it out. And I think, yes, Becca put the link in the chat. So this is the specific link that you need to use in order to get that 60-day free trial. I think we generally offer 14 days, but we've extended it to 60, so you guys can really have that time to set it up and set up your booking pages for different executives and do all that. And then, of course, as you do that, hopefully you're doing that right now. You can even just look through the setup while we're doing Q&A, and that way, if you have any questions, we still have 23 minutes left on this call. So hopefully you can go create your account, start the onboarding process. It does not take very long, trust me. And then once you're in there, you can say, oh, well, what about this? Or how do I do this? And we can try to answer as many questions as possible. And then, of course, I will be available to hop on a call with you as well. If you're struggling and you want to go through that, I'm happy to hop on a Zoom and walk you through how I've set it up as well offline. You know how to reach me on LinkedIn, or you can send me an email or ping me. I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. So let's see. I think that's it on that. Hopefully you can sign that up for that free trial. The link is in the chat. And then we'll do some questions. Does that sound good?
Awesome. Thank you. Sorry, Jeremy, I talked too fast there.
Oh, you're good.
I have literally one slide, and then we're going to do Q&A, guys. And that one slide is talking about our next webinar. It is tomorrow, exact same time, and it is talking about automation and scheduling. Jeremy talked about, automating your scheduling is the gateway drug. Well, Ben and I are going to be talking about like the harder drugs, I guess, tomorrow, then, just to build on that metaphor. It's Ben and I, and then I wasn't able to update this because it was a last minute awesome piece of news, but we actually have somebody from Zapier HQ joining us live on the webinar. Zapier are like the royalty of really, really easy to use automation, guys. So I can't believe they're actually joining our webinar. It's going to be so cool. So if you are interested in automation, but honestly don't know code, because I am so not a web developer, guys. I cannot write in code. I can handle these automations. It's super user friendly. So come tomorrow. I'd love to see you. And with that, let's get into the Q&A. If you would like to add more questions to the Q&A, guys, please keep throwing them in there. I do have a couple of them I would like to share with our hosts here. First question is, and I think this is mostly a Ben question, but can you speak a bit to how we integrate with Outlook, and if there's any other calendars that you would say are our bigger ones that we integrate with?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the Outlook integration is a click of a button and then a login, essentially. So while you're going through the onboarding that Jeremy was mentioning, there's an option to connect either a Microsoft Outlook. Apple has a bit of an asterisk on it because there's another step you have to do for Apple calendars of creating an app-specific password. We have some resources as you're going through that. But beyond that, we also have a integration with Fastmail. And then if you're super techie, there's an option called CalDev. We don't really need to talk about that because there's not many people that use it, but that's more of like a agnostic calendaring functionality for server pros, I guess. But so yeah, Outlook integration with Microsoft 365 is a click of a button, logging in to just accept the permissions and get everything set up. And we also offer integrations with the mail functionality of Outlook too, to send email through your Outlook account as well. Same with Google and Gmail. Great question though.
Yeah, and I want to add something on that too. So I actually had a use case where I was setting up a YouCanBookMe account for an assistant, and their executive, their company's on Microsoft, right? But their executive also has a personal Google calendar because they're on boards for different organizations and whatever. And so what I love about YouCanBookMe is I could go in set up the Microsoft calendar, but I also could add that executive's Google calendar. And then when I create the booking page, I can select the different calendars to check availability on. So it would also check that executive's personal board, involvement calendar. It could also check a kid's calendar if they had one too. And so you can set up Microsoft and Google,
Yes.
which is actually, again, I had this literal use case the other day that I was like, oh, this is a really good tool. And somebody else asked about like how do I get them, my executive, to switch from Microsoft and Outlook to YouCanBookMe. That's not this at all. This is an automation tool to work alongside of Microsoft and Google Calendars. So they don't have to do anything different on their workflow. They simply can manage their calendar, look at their calendar in Microsoft. They would, theoretically, they would never even have to log in themselves. You could manage that for them on YouCanBookMe, to where when the invites get sent out, like Ben just mentioned, they'll come from your executive's Microsoft email or Google email and get sent to the booker, and then you can customize. Again, we can get into all this if you guys have specific questions, or if you want to offline it in a call with me. You can customize how the event looks. You can customize what the event's title is. I'm very OCD and specific about how my calendar events get labeled on my executive's calendar, and so I can customize all that with variable fields in the settings, so that when someone books a meeting, it doesn't just have some templated random, arbitrary title. It's actually like this person's name plus my executive's name, or this person's name and company in parentheses plus my executive's name and company in parentheses, depending on the different use cases. And so anyway, this works alongside. So don't
Yep.
feel like you're like trying to replace Google Calendar. That's not it at all. This
Nope.
works alongside of it to automate all the back and forth that you're doing as a manual schedule
Yes.
person.
Great point, that it's like a public layer on top of all of that complexity and all of that kind of important information, because we don't share that, your executive has dinner tomorrow. It's just they're busy, right? So then it's a way to kind of preserve their schedule and everything. So a layer on top. Great point.
Yeah, and I guess Gabriella asked about does it apply to my executive's calendar options as well? The one that you have access to, yes. So that's kind of the beauty of it is, if you have your account and then you have your executive's pages, it's connected to their calendars, but then you can also have your own page that's connected to
Yes.
your calendars, like I do. So
Yep.
that's why I love the customization. And I think, Becca, did you have another question in queue? Otherwise, just wanted to make sure I talked about Calendly at some point.
I have two really quick ones. So thank you for
Yep.
checking in.
Yep.
One, I'm gonna rock out myself here. I had a couple people DM me privately asking about pricing. Let's talk about it for 10 seconds. Guys, we have a free forever plan, and like it's literally free forever. You bet, or Jeremy had a slide earlier where he said no credit card needed. Seriously, don't put your credit card in if you're going free forever. We don't need it. We're not charging you. And the free forever is great if you have just one calendar, one booking page. It's super versatile, guys. But if you need some of those more complicated features or some of those higher level features to make your life easier, such as like if you're managing, 18 team members, you probably want the team functionality, not 18 free accounts. I'll drop the pricing in the chat, but yes, there is a free option. I had a couple people asking me about a free option. And then Ben, if you want to take this one, also quick and easy. If a person gets a booking in their calendar, do I need to be worried about them being double booked or going in and deleting that from my executive's availability? How does that work?
Yeah, great question. So our system is basically just looking for free and busy time on the executive's calendar. So as soon as we create a booking and we see a busy event, that blocks it on the YouCanBookMe side from being able to be selected. And it doesn't just have to be our bookings that we're creating. If you have another kind of ad hoc meeting, add a busy event on their calendar, it will block it across every single YouCanBookMe page that they're connected to. So you don't have to, book every single slot if they're going to be out of the office. You can just add got a busy event and make it a week-long busy event if they're going to be on vacation, anything like that. So it's all managed directly on the calendar through busy and free time. Great question.
Awesome.
Awesome, Jeremy. It's all you, man.
Yeah, so Jessica asked about Calendly, said your executive has really latched on to using it, which I say is awesome. That means they're already in the boat of automating their calendar, right? They're already for booking links. They're already, you don't have to convince them to set up automation. They've already done that. I love your comment, Jessica, was I don't really like Calendly, but I'm finding it difficult to explain why I'd like to switch tools. So I used Calendly for years until we partnered up and with YouCanBookMe, and I will say there's a few things that stand out to me personally as an assistant when it comes to why you would want to use YouCanBookMe versus Calendly. And the first one was a simple little bug that drove me crazy. And so I automate my reminders. Okay, so when a meeting is on my executive's calendar tomorrow, I would send out a confirmation 24 hours ahead of time or the day before, and I would say, hey, I'm writing to confirm tomorrow's call with David at such and such time. Thank you so much. Well, now with the automated scheduling and with Calendly bookings and YouCanBookMe bookings, I would actually automate that process. So I'd send an email from my executive that says, hey, I'm looking forward to our meeting tomorrow at such and such time. And then there's a link that says reschedule if you can reschedule if you need to. Well, after I would book a meeting, as assistants on this call, I'm sure can relate to, somebody would reach out or I would notice that, oh shoot, I forgot that my executive has a kid's dentist appointment that I forgot to put on the calendar, and so it didn't have it blocked out, and now I've got to move this. So I reach out to the person and say, hey, my apologies, can we move this to 4 p.m. instead of 1 p.m.? Sure, that sounds great, no problem. So I go on my executive's calendar. We use Google, so Google Calendar. I drag that to 4 p.m. And let's say this is a week out. So all is gravy, right? Except for this little bug that annoyed the crud out of me is Calendly would send the automated reminder the day before and say, hey, we're writing to confirm tomorrow's call at 1 p.m., the original time. And I was just like, okay, how is this an issue? How is this not solved? Whatever. So I kept trying to figure out the settings, reach out to their team, whatever. Could not figure it out. Every time people would say, hey, I got the confirmation and I'm good for tomorrow, but the calendar says 4 o'clock and this email notification says 1 o'clock. So anyway, as soon as I got on YouCanBookMe and we were doing diligence to try to see if we wanted to acquire them, that was one of the first things I looked and tested, honestly. I was like, I'm going to set an event. I'm going to move it on my executive's calendar to a different time, and then I'm going to see if the reminder sends the correct time. And guess what? The reminder sent the correct time, and I was like, all right, I'm sold. But that might just be me. That's just kind of a quirky little thing that's what I like. The second thing that I did like about YouCanBookMe, though, the back end settings page is just so much more intuitive and step by step, just so much easier to manage, in my opinion. And I think that's a huge difference that if you, Jessica, it's probably some of the reasons why you don't like Calendly, honestly, is because it's kind of clunky on the settings. And then lastly, I think the key is the team management and the group meetings, and now what we're adding our meeting polls feature, which is going to be much more extensive than the polls feature that Calendly currently offers. I think that, and then also being combined with the capacity umbrella with our AI and our support automation platform and all the integrations that we're going to be able to kind of carry on as we move forward together is going to create even more reasons to switch, in my opinion. But there is another reason. I think that's pricing. I'm pretty sure that YouCanBookMe's pricing is very competitive and cheaper depending on the situation, but I think most of the time it's cheaper than Calendly as well. So even that could be the simple reason depending on your executive. And I'm happy to talk offline, Jessica, if you want to reach out and chat about it. I help a lot of assistants talk with their executives about kind of building a business case for a decision. And some executives, they just care about numbers. Some of them care about, the features or whatever. And so, getting to the root behind that, I'd be happy to walk you through as well.
We have a really good question in the Q&A right now that I wanted to share. Um, and I'm happy I have an answer as well. So here we go. Um, what is the best way to get started? This person wants to basically understand the ins and outs before they go to their executive to make a case. One, Jeremy, as he just mentioned, said he's happy to help you with that, making that case. So that's awesome. He's such a gem. But also, those of you on this call, you only got an invite to this call because you were signed up for our last call. So that means you're eligible for our 60-day free trial, which, by the way, we've never done before. I can't believe my boss actually said yes to it, if I'm being honest. Thank you, Bridget. But sign up for free using the email address that you use to sign up for the webinar here. If you need to use a different email address, just shoot me a message. But take a 60-day free trial and try it for yourself. Actually play with it, put it into action, and understand how it works best for your use case and your life. Because I think that's the best way to understand it, because we all have different executives we work with. We all have different time zones and functionalities. So get in there, get your hands dirty, and I mean, DM us if you get stuck or if you have any questions. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, and on that too, we have knowledge base articles that are 450, I think, last time I checked, with how to do everything in the tool. And our support is an email away to help you out with any questions you may have. And then somebody in the chat said if there's a pre-written business case to help us share with our execs, that could be a thing we help out with, maybe potentially. But
Yeah,
that's not
I'm working on that, by the way.
nice.
I have a
Nice.
template that I'm trying to put together, so I just need to get on it.
Cool.
And then to Nina's question too, I think how to get started. I would just look at, again, look at the last 3 months of your executive's calendar, right? How many of those meetings were internal? How many were external? How many of them are recurring? How many of them required, you to reschedule things? And just kind of take a little audit of what their meeting flow has looked like. And then as you look at these meetings that maybe weren't recurring or that maybe weren't internal only, and maybe they were internal only, but you look at them and then you can even look through your email history and say, all right, well, I sent 7 emails to get this meeting booked, or I sent 4 emails because I had to reschedule this one, and just kind of get some data together. It doesn't have to be super crazy. You don't have to spend 3 days on it, but spend an hour or two just really diving in and taking some data points from that, and then I think it'll eliminate, okay, where do I start? Well, I start with, these types of meetings took 6 or 7 emails per meeting to schedule. And if I would have had a booking link or a booking page specifically for this group of executives or for this type of external call, then that would have cut out a total of 29 meetings over the last 2 weeks, or sorry, 29 emails back and forth. And then you can actually get some real numbers of like, hey, you know what? How long does it take me to send one email? Well, even if it only takes you 5 minutes to look at the calendar, look at this, copy the dates in, whatever, 5 times, 29 emails over the last 2 weeks. That's a lot of time. And then the other way that I like to justify it is I say, okay, well, not only is this much time going to be saved, but these are those projects that have been pushed to the back burner because I've had to, spend all this time getting these meetings coordinated. And so now that I can apply an automation, I can bring these projects closer to the top of my to-do list. So those are kind of the 2 ways that I think about it, but I'll definitely put together a use case template.
Yeah, that's a good point. As Anna mentioned, like rough numbers, we're factoring like about 15 minutes savings per each meeting, but that's for like a solopreneur, not necessarily an EA who also has an executive they're kind of coordinating with and external people. So it's way higher than that. And the one big thing too is just that that Booker experience as well of the people that are going to be meeting with your executive. If they have a informative emails that update automatically, like Jeremy was saying, all of that happening, it's just a better experience for everybody involved. It's
Yeah.
hard to put an ROI on that, I guess, but
Yeah, and I think that even just the no-shows, like eliminating the no-shows, because
100%.
there's so much data out there about, like, if you send a reminder, people are more likely to show up. You know what I mean? And so your executive's not going to sit on a Zoom call staring at themselves, waiting for someone to show up because they confirmed.
Yep.
So that's a big thing. And then the other thing we didn't mention is, when the booker goes to the page to book a time, they can actually click the button at the top that says overlay my availability. And so they can actually auto sync their calendar, whether it's Google, Microsoft, even Calendly, even if they have a Calendly tool
Yep.
account, they can overlay their calendar, and then it quickly shows what time is available on, based on their schedule. And so it's not this back and forth. And so the booker appreciates that because it automates that process as well.
Yep.
I
Absolutely.
think we've crushed all the questions on my end. Does either of you have any questions left on your lists to answer?
Jessica has a good point in the chat, and somebody might have replied, but something about, I think I need to use my executive's email to sign up for a free trial. So I think what we'll do is we'll encourage people to set up a free trial with your account, but then also set up a free trial with your executive, right? Or will we have
Or
to add a team to it later, Ben? What would be
yeah,
easiest?
I guess the path forward could be you can spin something up with your own personal email, and then you can just swap the login email to something else. And then do it that way. That could probably be the path to go.
I will
Yeah.
say, whatever email you use to register for last week's email, that is the email in the system that's going to get automatically upgraded to the 60-day free trial. If you're using any other email than the one you registered for last week, please, please, please respond to any of the emails I've sent you, any of the reminders I've sent you about this webinar, and to let me know you need a different email address added to that 60-day free trial, because our system can't upgrade you if it doesn't know you changed email addresses. So
Yes.
respond to literally any of my emails. I'm sure you have a bunch of them from me right now, but please, please, please let me know so that I know that your account needs to get upgraded from the traditional 14-day trial to the executive assistance only 60-day free trial. So
Yes.
email me because I want to make sure you get the full trial.
And once you're running through and getting things set up with the email that you registered with, it's pretty easy to swap it to any other email to make it, and then getting yourself added as an admin or something like that. So it's pretty straightforward.
And just so you
So
guys know, it's about a 24-hour delay from you making your account to that upgrade hitting. I don't understand the developer side of how this works, but our current system, so you'll expect a little bit of a delay. That's normal. It's okay. But that extension from 14 days to 60 days will hit. It just takes about 24 hours, and that's fine because you're in the free trial no matter what. So
Yes.
if you see that deadline, it's going to get bigger. It's all good.
yeah, and please reach out, like Jessica, for example, you know, um, sign in, get started. That's the first step, is to just really just get your head around how you might set this up for your executive. Please reach out. I'm happy to walk you through it. But we will take care of you if you're like, hey, I'm ready for a team account and I need to set up a few executives. Like we're gonna make sure that you guys are set up. So please don't feel
Yep.
free to annoy us with emails about questions and how to set up. We're not gonna be
Yes.
annoyed.
And we're going to send you all the resources and links to all of the pertinent information and all of that stuff. But yeah, our support's an email away. Jeremy graciously offered some help too. Anything we can do to help make your life easier, we're here for it. Like that's it.
With 1 minute and 12 seconds to spare, we have crushed all of our questions. Thank you so super much. And just so you guys know, that offer for the 60-day trial is valid till end of day Friday. So please get in there and make those accounts. Let's get those free accounts going. Email me if you need to change your email. Email any of us if you have questions. Set up those free accounts by end of day Friday to get that 60-day free trial, because who doesn't want more time to get to know the tool and make the case to their executives? And guys, thank you so much for coming. Oh my goodness, we really appreciate it, and have the most wonderful Wednesday.
Thanks, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Take care.
Cheers.